some slides like general three-dimensional scaling. Is this PPT visible
No, sir.
now? Three-dimensional general three-dimensional rotations. Whether you're able to see this?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Now you're able to see this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, last class and all, we were talking something about first what we studied about three-dimensional rotation. So there we considered the axis, like someone was looking towards the z-axis, x-axis, y-axis, and for that corresponding equations we derived. So for if what will be my rotation equation, what will be my matrix if I'm looking from the z-axis, if I'm looking parallel to the x-axis, and if I'm looking parallel to the y-axis. So this was a general case. So after this we add some object, that object was parallel to either x-axis or y-axis or z-axis. So that rotation, the point where we wanted to rotate, that object was parallel to some of the rotation axis. It can be either x-axis, or it can be y-axis, or it can be z-axis. What we did, so we positioned that rotation axis in such a way that it will be parallel to either x-axis, y-axis, or z-axis. And from that point onwards, we started, we performed the rotation operation. Once the rotation was done, we brought it back to the original position. So after this, the another modification to this, where the rotation axis was not parallel. The rotation axis was not parallel to the, either it was not parallel to x-axis, it was not parallel to y-axis, and it was not parallel to z-axis. So what we did, we brought a point from, assume that in our example we brought an rotation axis from that point to the origin. Then we rotated the object to be inclined with the coordinate axis. Then we perform the rotation about the axis, whether it can be x-axis, z-axis, or y-axis, based on um, that object. Then after that, the reverse of the first two steps, the reverse of that, like again the inverse rotation to bring it back to the original orientation, and again inverse translation to bring the object back to the original position. So like this we studied. And also we studied few formulas where this is a rotation with respect to x-axis, then again rotation with respect to y-axis, or rotation with respect to z-axis, and we came up with the transformation matrices and r of theta. So now the same thing, now for the same thing, um, for the same case, what we are doing means, here we are representing, here we are following a method called quaternion method. So what we are following means, here we are following a method called quaternion method. So we are following this method. So what is this quaternion method means? It is an efficient method for generating a rotation about an arbitrarily selected axis. So whenever you want to perform a transformation about an arbitrarily selected axis, you can use this quaternion method. So you can use this quaternion method, where you're using the, where we'll call this kind of representation as quaternion representation. So you can use the quaternion representation for the rotation transformation. For the rotation transformation, you can use this quaternion representation. So what is this quaternion representation means? It's an extension of complex number. It's an extension of complex number. It's an extension of 2D complex number. So this quaternion representation is an extension of 2D complex number. This is highly useful in computer graphics. It is useful in computer graphics um, because they require only a storage space. They require a storage space of 4 cross 4 matrices. And also writing the procedure for this representation for transformation sequence is very easy to write this quaternion procedure for the transformation sequences. And also um, like this, where do we use this? Means this will be used in animations. This will be used in animations. Animations. So this is animations is the application where you'll be using this method, because like here animation requires complicated motion sequence. So that's why this quaternion method is used in animation. So um, so what is this quaternion representation? Means here quaternion, this quaternion means it's an ordered pair. It's an ordered pair which consists of scalar vector. So quaternion means it's a collection of it's a collection, or it's a pair of scalar and vector, where S represents the scalar part and V represents vector part. So this we will call it as quaternion. So the quaternion is represented by Q is equal to S comma V, where S is a scalar and V is a vector. Scalar means the real parts. The scalar refers to the real part, and vector refers to the complex part. So this is the real part, and vector represents complex part. So if you would have studied about complex number, right? A plus IB. So here instead of I, so this is the real part, and this will be the complex part. So you are, instead of I, you'll be using I, J, K, the three complex, but one along x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, like that. So here S is a real part and V is a fractional part. So this contains only one part, scalar contains one part, vector contains three part. The elements of vector, it can be I, J, K, like that. So now a rotation about any axis passing through the coordinate origin will be set up first. It will be done by first setting up the unit quaternion. So a rotation about any coordinate axis, a rotation about any axis, a rotation about any axis passing through the coordinate origin uh, can be accomplished by first setting up the unit quaternion with scalar. First set up this unit quaternion with scalar and vector by using this formula. S is equal to cos theta by 2, and V is equal to U into sine theta by 2. So now what is this U means? U is a unit vector. U is a unit vector along the selected rotation axis. Unit vector along selected, U is a unit vector along selected rotation axis. Um, so it can be like this. It's a three dimension space: Z, Y, X. So like this. So this U, and this can be my rotation. So U is a unit vector along the selected rotation, and theta is the angle of rotation. What is this theta? Theta is the rotation angle about that axis. So so this is some formula. So quaternion method means it is represented by Q is equal to SV, where S is equal to cos theta by 2, and V is equal to U into sin theta by 2, where U is the unit vector along the selected rotation axis, and theta is the angle of rotation. So there is some point P. See, there is some point which is represented by P, is to be rotated by this quaternion. So there is some point P that is to be that is to be rotated by this quaternion. So for that you can use the notation as P is equal to 0 comma P. So this is the notation which will be followed. So there is some point P. There is some point P that is to be rotated about this quaternion. So that can be represented in the quaternion notation as P is equal to 0 comma P. So where where the coordinate of the point P is given by x comma y comma z, where the coordinate of this point vector part. So this, see, this is scalar, this is vector, no, like that, where the point P point P, the vector part of the point P is given by x comma y comma z. Then the rotation is carried by this equation. Then the rotation is carried by the formula P dash is equal to Q into P into Q inverse. Then the rotation of this point is carried out with the formula given by this, where what is this Q minus 1 means it is the inverse. It is the inverse which is given by sig for Q. It is S comma V. Q inverse means S comma minus V. So Q inverse is given by in the inverse operation is given by S comma the negative of the vector component. So once this procedure is followed, once this process is followed, the transformation will be P dash, the new point represented by 0 comma P dash. So this is the uh, new quaternion equation which we will obtain. So the same way, the uh, similarly, uh, similarly the second term, uh, here the second term is the rotated. So this is a rotated point position. So which is given by here the P dash is given by the equation. Here the P dash is given by the equation. P dash is given by this equation. It's a product of it's a summation of scalar and vector. So this is a combination of scalar product and vector product. So you can see the rotated point position, the rotated point position P dash is given by P dash is equal to S square P plus some this formula. So um, this is a formula which this is a formula which is a collection of it, which is a collection of vector dot product and vector cross product. So so the value for this S and V can be obtained by S is equal to cos theta by 2, V is equal to U into sin theta by 2. We know that S is equal to cos theta by 2, V is equal to U into sin theta by 2. So the values for S and V can be obtained from these two uh, equations. So see many computer hardware systems or many graphical systems use the hardware implementation of this vectors for calculations. So this is regarding the quaternion representation. And also uh, I'd written one equation. Given by given by this. I've written this equation. So this is equal. So this equation is like this is equivalent to rotating about an axis which is passing through the coordinate origin. So this is similarly we can evaluate we can evaluate this P dash. We can evaluate this P dash using the quaternion multiplication um, with the vector components as V given by ABC, we will get this composite matrix. If we perform the quaternion multiplication along with the vector part, we will get this transformation matrix, the transformation matrix, which is like equal, which is equivalent to, see this MR, this is obtained by performing first obtaining rotation about the alpha, then with respect to the beta, then z-axis with respect to theta. The 5 steps which we studied. After this, performing the inverse operation of beta, then the inverse operation of alpha. So this is the transformation matrix. So this is the transformation matrix which we are representing. This MR of theta is nothing but the transformation multiplication matrix, which is given by this term 1 minus 2b square minus 2c square 2ab minus 2ac, where mm, this equation, so where this equation can be reduced, by using the values of a b c, by using the values of a b c in this MR of theta, and also following the trigonometric, like some trigonometric formulas like sine square theta minus cos square theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine square theta is equal to cos 2 theta, and 2 cos square theta sine square theta is equal to sine 2 theta. See, by substituting the values of ABC and by following this trigonometric equation, so this equation will be transformed into this format. So you can write this equation MR of theta in terms of cos term and sine term, along with the ux, uy, the unit vectors along x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So where ux, uy, and uz are the components of the unit axis vector u. So mm, so one point is like this calculation. This calculation can be obtained by substituting the value of ABC and using the trigonometry, and you will obtain the final equation. You'll obtain the final equation in terms of unit vector ux, uy, uz, and then sine theta and cos theta. So this is the final matrix. So this is a final matrix. So you can write it as R is equal to T inverse, the inverse translation, m r of theta, m r of theta into t. So this is the transformation. This is the um, complete expression which you are going to obtain. So this is the better way. This is a better way of representing. So this is a better way of representing the three-dimensional rotation about an arbitrary axis. So this for this the complete equation. So what we derived now, what we derived till now. So this is mr of theta. So that is what mr of theta is given by this representation, and the equation r will become, so since it is mr of theta, so this r of theta will be inverse translation mr of theta t. So that is how, so like this, this is how it is used. So this concept is used in animations. So this is the technique which they are using in animations, uh, and also rotating an object, and all this quaternion method will be used. So see, one thing is like from the examination point of view, they might ask you to write these equations. They might ask you to write these equations. So so you make sure that you will know these formulas or these equations. So simple things you can derive there only, but these formulas should be remembered. So in one of the VTU question paper, they had asked you to derive this following equation. They had asked you to derive these formulas, and this they had asked you to explain this three-dimensional rotation about an arbitrary axis and write the corresponding mathematical equations that is involved in this. So in this, you need to remember about Rx of alpha value, Ry of beta, then Rz of theta, then this matrix. So this is this is the thing which you should remember. The translation, inverse translation, and all you can um, derive it if you know the concept, and also Rz of theta also, but Rx of alpha and Ry of beta. So you should know the values with respect to x-axis and with respect to z-axis. So I've seen this in one of the question paper. So you need to remember the equations. So this is regarding the general three-dimension rotation. So now we have completed rotation and uh, translation. The next part is scaling. So what is scaling? So we know that by performing the scaling, you can increase the size of the object or you can decrease the size of an object. So in two-dimensional matrix, we were supplying the values of Sx and Sy. So scale value along the x-axis, scale value along the z-axis. If the value of this Sx and Sy is less than 1, you know that the object will shrink. The object will shrink, and if the value is greater than 1, the object size will increase. So if it is 0.5 means the size will get reduced to 50%. If the value of the scale along the x-axis and y-axis is 2 means the object will get enlarged. So here for the same thing we are adding the z dimension. For the same concept we are adding the z dimension. And one more thing, when the value of the scaling along x-axis and scaling along y-axis, when the value of sx and sy are same, we'll get a uniform scaling. When those two values are different means we will get the ununiform not the non-uniform scaling. So like that. So now here we are talking about three-dimensional scaling. So what is this three-dimensional scaling means? Here the point is represented by three dimensions. Here the point P, there is some point P which is represented by three dimension x comma y comma z. The point P is represented by three dimension. So now for this you need to um, perform scaling with respect to the coordinate origin. So with respect to the coordinate origin, you need to perform scaling. That is, x will be like the x parameter into the scaling along x-axis. Y dash will be y into scaling y parameter. Z dash will be z into the scaling parameter along z-axis. So the point P is represented by x comma y comma z with respect to the coordinate origin. So here what we are doing means we are adding the parameter called z coordinate scaling parameter. So here we are adding sz. So sz means the scaling along z axis. So this matrix can be like, if we take this as point P given by x comma y comma z, the new point P dash which is given by x dash y dash z dash is obtained by the scaling matrix. This is obtained by the scaling matrix which contains scaling values for x axis, scaling value for y axis, and scaling value for z axis. So so if you expand this matrix, x dash will be equal to x into x. So this you will get the x-axis value. Y dash is equal to 0 into x will be 0. Sy into y, which you can write it as y into sy. Z you can write it as sz into z. So z dash will be equal to z into sz. So like this. So mm so this we will call it as the scaling. So for the scaling, general three-dimensional scaling, we are adding the z parameter. So a value greater than one will move the object away from the origin. Similarly, the value less than 1 will move that point closer to the origin on the basis of coordinate direction. So this, so you should think. So if all the values are equal, you will get the uniform scaling. If the values are different means you will get the non-uniform scaling. So these are the general points with respect to three-dimension scaling. These are the points with respect to three-dimension scaling. So next, what is next? The next will be the extension of this three-dimension scaling, where you are scaling here. The point of reference is not at the origin. Here the point to be scaled is at some fixed value from the origin. It is at some position from the origin, but we know that the computer graphics will support only those functions which will scale relative to the coordinate origin. With respect to the coordinate origin only, the graphic routines will support the scaling operation. So now what to do in this case? For example, here we have to scale this object. With respect to some position called xf, yf, zf. We have to scale this object with respect to a fixed point given by the coordinate system xf, yf, and zf. So now how to do this means the first step is to, so in order to perform the scaling for this kind of objects, the first step will be to move this object to the origin. First move the object to the origin. So that is the translation. First perform the translation so that the fixed point will be moved to the origin. So the next step will be to perform scaling. The first step will be moving this object to the origin. The next step will be to perform scaling with respect to x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Scaling with respect to x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Once the scaling is done, move this object back to the original position, move the object back to the original position. So this is how the steps will be followed. Translate the fixed point to the origin. Apply the scaling functions or the scaling transformation with related to the coordinate origin using this thing, scaling along x-axis, scaling along y-axis, and scaling along z-axis, the scaling transformation matrix. After that, move the object back to the original position. So this sequence of operations, the sequence of operation is given here. So first we are moving this object, from this position to the origin, which is given by the inverse translation. We're moving the fixed point minus xf minus yf minus zf, means moving these points to the origin. So after that, the scaling is done. The second step is scaling. The scaling is given, the scaling operation with respect to x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So this is done, the scaling. First step was after translation, the point will be moved to the origin. So after scaling, you can see an object which is bigger in size. So after this the translation, moving back the object from the origin to the original position. So you can see the object has been moved to the original position. So this is the sequence of transformation which is being done, and this will give you the sequence that is followed, and this is the composite matrix. So this is the matrix. So that's the matrix representation. This is a matrix representation of um, moving an object about a fixed point, the scaling along x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and this will give you um, the translation and the scaling thing. 1 minus the scaling value into fixed position of x, fixed position of y, and fixed position of z. So this is the composite transformation matrix. So you can use this transformation matrix. You can use this transformation matrix. You can use this transformation matrix to perform the scaling of an object about a fixed point represented by xf, yf, and zf. So this is regarding the two dimension, sorry, the three dimension scaling about a fixed point. Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to the scaling? See any doubts here? So what we did is we are adding the z-axis. The same formulas you can check in two dimension also. So we are adding one more component called the z component. So the next thing is so before we talk about this other three-dimensional transformation, we'll talk about composite three-dimensional transformation. So what is this composite three-dimensional transformation means? Um, see, instead of performing, so what is this three-dimensional transformation means? Uh, See here, first for this point, for this point, first performing the translation to get this position. After translation, we'll be performing the scaling. After scaling, we'll be performing the inverse translation. So instead of for a point called P, instead of performing the translation first to perform the inverse translation and to get some new point called p dash, and for this p dash performing the scaling to get a point called p double dash, and for this p double dash performing the translation to get the final position, which we'll call it as p triple dash, like that. So instead of performing for a point, instead of performing individual operations, here we add three operations: translation, that is inverse translation, scaling, and translation. So instead of performing these operations individually on a point, the first thing is we can combine these three operations so that we can get a single matrix. We can get a, see, for transformation also you will have one matrix. For transformation also you'll have one matrix. For scaling also you have one matrix. And uh, sorry, for inverse translation you have one matrix, for scaling you have one matrix, and for translation also you have one matrix. So instead of multiplying a point, first a point with this matrix, get some intermediate output, again multiply this matrix with this matrix, get the intermediate output, again multiplying the result with this matrix to get the final output. So instead of doing like this, first multiply this three matrices. First multiply these three matrices to get the composite matrix, and then that composite matrix will be multiplied. That composite matrix will be multiplied with the initial point. So this we will call it as the composite matrix. So this is what the composite 3D transformation. So we form a 3D transformation by multiplying the matrix representation for individual operations in the transformation sequence. So instead of multiplying a point P each time with translation, scaling, and again translation, what we will do, these operations of translation, scaling, and the inverse translation will be multiplied first to form the composite transformation. So after that, we will combine this, the combined matrix will perform the operation on that point. So this we will call it as composite 3D transformation. So we form a 3D dimensional transformation by multiplying the matrix representation for the individual operations that are there in the transformation sequence. So so you can perform this transformation by, like, either from multiplying from the left hand side to the right hand side, or from right hand side to the left hand side, depending on the order in which the matrix representations are specified. But always remember that the rightmost matrix, the rightmost term in the matrix representation is always the first transformation. So here also you can see, here also in our examples also, see the inverse transformation is written on the right hand side. This will be my first transformation. The second transformation will be my scaling, and the third transformation will be the translation. So first I'm performing the inverse translation. So that is the one which I'll be writing it on the right hand side. So this you can remember. So the rightmost term in the matrix product will always be the first transformation that will be applied on the object, and the leftmost term will always be the last transformation. So first I performed inverse translation, then I performed scaling, and then I performed um, the translation. So this you can remember. So this is regarding the composite um, three-dimensional transformation. So after this, the other 3D transformations, the other 3D transformations will be same which we have studied in 2D, reflection and shear. So here what do you mean by reflection means? So here the reflection for a 3D space can be performed either with respect to a reflection axis or with respect to a reflection plane. So what this 3D reflection matrices will do means, it will set up um, the reflections, like reflection relative to a given axis, which will be done by about 180 degrees. So there will be a 180-degree reflection about that axis. So what we did in 2D. So if there was a triangle, means if you're performing a reflection operation, that you are getting this triangle, which was the reflection of the one which was there in this side. It was in the first quadrant, and the reflection was available in the second quadrant. The same thing. So the 3D reflection matrices are set up similarly to those for 2D dimensions, where what we are doing means, here for the given axis will be provided with the 180-degree rotation about that axis. So for example, like if we have rotation axis, if we have rotation axis like xy or xz or yz. So the transformations can be like 180-degree transformation along the z-axis, along the y-axis, along the x-axis. Like this, we can think, or uh, can draw this. So if this is y, x, and z, so the reflection along xy plane, the reflection along xy plane will be in this way. So y, z, x. So if I want to get the reflection along xy plane, means it will be in this direction. Similarly, y, z, x. So this is reflection along xy plane. So if I want to get the reflection along xz, so if I want to get the reflection along xz, means it will be like this: y, z, x, the reflection along xz. Similarly, I want to get the reflection along y, x, z. I want to get the reflection along yz. I want to get the reflection along yz, means it will be in this way. 180 degrees. See, this is getting changed by uh, 90, 90, 180. See this point, this plane. See here, the line was here. The line was in this direction. So after reflection, the line is in the opposite direction. So 90-degree rotation, 90-degree rotation. So 180-degree rotation. So that is what I just wanted to tell. So, so if the reflection plane is about xy axis or xz or yz, we can think the transformation as an 180-degree rotation in that space. So for the example can be, so you can, from the example you can understand. So when it is the xy plane, so if I do the rotation, the z axis which was on the left hand side is moving to the right hand side. Similarly, you can conclude the same for the other thing also. So this is regarding the 2D reflection. This is regarding the 2D reflection. And so what is the matrix? So what is the matrix? What is the matrix for this? So for z-axis, for z-axis, the matrix can be, for the z-axis, the matrix can be like 1, 1, 1, 1. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this can be my z-axis if reflection matrix. So the z will be the negative value. So this matrix will give me the z-axis reflection. Similarly, you can write the matrix for z. This I have written for the z-axis. Now you can write it for x reflect and y reflect also. So this is regarding the 3D reflection, and you know that the next one is 3D shear. So 3D shear means, like, you know that here here you'll get some distorted images. You'll get some distorted object. Once the shear is done, the object will get distorted. The transformations, the shear is a transformation which can be performed to modify the shape of this object. Here the object looks like a cube. I'm performing the shear transformation to modify the shape of this object. So here you can for 3D, shear, what we are doing means we are adding the z-axis. We are generating the shear with respect to the z-axis. So for this the z-axis shear matrix can be written like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So these parameters will be 0. So 0. So this will be 0, and for this also 0. This is shear along z-axis, zx, shear along zy, and this will be minus component of z-axis into z reference minus sh zy into z reference. So this is a transformation matrix. So this is a matrix which you can use for getting the shear object along the z-axis. Um, so so what this transformation will do means it will change the shape of the object. If you want to modify the shape of the object, you can use this transformation called shear. So just like the 2D, here what I'm doing is I'm adding the Z component. So um, if I add Z component, I'm getting the shear with respect to the Z axis, with respect to the Z axis. So here the matrix, this Z shear, what it is giving means it is giving the Z axis shear transformation with respect to a selected position. So where we are using a component called Z reference. So here this values can be, this can be any real values. So what this transformation will do means it will change the value of x coordinate and y coordinate, which in turn changes the shape of the object, which in turn will change the shape of the object. So this is an example. So this is an example for this object. If I'm performing a shear operation, so you can see the change of the object. The object is getting distorted, or there is a change in the shape of the object. So this is regarding the other 3D transformations. So I'll just stop the class now. In the next class, we'll talk about the functions. We have affine transformations and OpenGL transformation functions. So I'll just stop the class now. So any doubts regarding today's class?